Welcome to this Maxify screencast. Today I'm going to be talking about cash constraint. Sometimes we refer to this as liquidity constraint or borrowing constraint, but today I'll try to use the term cash constraint. Cash constraint happens when there's money out in the future that you can't get to in the near term. Say, for example, you received an inheritance 10 years from now of $20 million. But you don't have enough cash or regular assets, enough liquidity here in the near term to tide you over, to raise your living standard to the level that it will be 10 years from now when that inheritance comes along. That creates a phenomenon we call cash constraint. A more common example of this is what happens when we postpone Social Security. So let me run a maximized plan here and show what happens when this couple decides to take Social Security at age 70 instead of age 62. So there's a big advantage, almost $350,000, if they are willing to postpone their Social Security from age 62 to age 70. The problem, however, is that in doing so, they find themselves cash constrained. The blue line is the base plan, and you can see, as I said, that discretionary spending is smooth for the whole plan. The orange line is the maximized discretionary spending each year, and that while it provides the highest spending over a lifetime, it is actually lower in the beginning and doesn't jump to higher spending than the base plan until age 70 when they get Social Security. In other words, there's this money that comes starting when they turn age 70, but they don't have enough liquid assets here in the near term to raise that level to what they will have once Social Security kicks in at age 70. So what I mean by cash constraint can be shown by looking at their regular asset report. And we see here in the base plan where they take Social Security at 62, they have plenty of cash starting in 2020, and that never hits zero until they get to their last year. However, when we look at the maximized plan, that same report shows that they essentially run out of cash and have to start over. So this period in the near term is one level of spending, and then the period that starts in 2028 when they turn 70 is another level of spending. And the trick then to solving this problem and making the orange line smooth is figuring out ways to either inject liquidity into the near term. For example, they could go get jobs and earn more money and try to bring that orange line up to the level of the post-70 orange line. Another way to approach it is to borrow from their future, to take some money that they've saved for this period and bring it back into the near term. That's the approach that we're going to follow. We're going to look at their retirement withdrawals here, which are around $26,000 each starting at age 65. And we're going to use special withdrawals to bring some more liquidity into the plan prior to age 70. The first thing I'm going to do is create an alternative plan that is just like the maximized plan that we just looked at. So I created an alternative plan called SS at 70, and the only thing I changed here was their benefit strategy dates. I set them to 12/2027, which is their date for their latest Social Security with benefit start date. So now the SS at 70 plan is exactly like the maximized plan, and I'll run it here real quickly and show you. So there's the $350,000. There's the orange line that shows the cash constraint. So next, what we want to do is figure out a way to solve this. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this money here and take out extra withdrawals. I can see that the program is already taking out about $26,000 for each, but I'm going to double that and see what happens. So I don't want to overwrite my SS at 70, so I'm going to clone that alternative profile. I'm going to duplicate SS at 70, and I'm going to call that SS at 70 special withdraws. So I've duplicated that. Now it's just like my SS at 70, but now I'm going to go into Jack's retirement account and modify his 401k and scroll down here to special withdrawals. And I'm going to take out $50,000 instead of the $26,000 that the program wants. I'm going to start it at 65 and I'm going to end it at 70. And I'm going to save that. Then I'm going to do the same for Jill. Modify her account, find special withdrawals, take 50,000, which is going to replace the 26. It's not going to add to the 26. We're not going to see 75,000. We're going to see 50,000 withdrawn from 65 to 70 instead of 26,000. So now I'm ready to run this report, and I'm going to run this Social Security at 70 with special withdrawals against the Social Security at 70 report so that I can see how well I've addressed the cash constraint problem. In this case, the orange line is our Social Security at 70 without the special withdrawals. The blue line represents the same model, Social Security at 70, but with the special withdrawals. So let's take a look at that. Here's our Social Security at 70 income. There's our $26,000 from Jack and Jill's retirement accounts. But when we look at that same report, here we see that I've overridden. Again, I didn't add to the 26, making it 75. It replaced the 26 with the 50. And that now has addressed the cash constraint because we see now that the blue line does not create a stair step like the orange line does. Let's examine that a little more closely. Again, when we look at Social Security at 70 and we go to the annual saving and withdrawal report, we see that we run out of cash right at age 70. So we have two levels of spending, the pre-70 level and the post-70 level. But when we look at that same report here, we see that we do not run out of money. Like the base plan, it doesn't run out of money, doesn't run out of regular assets until the final year. Finally then, we might be curious how that blue line, which is Social Security at 70 with special withdrawals to address cash constraint, how does that compare to our original base model where we just took Social Security at 62? So we can run that comparison, the Social Security at 70 with special withdrawals against the base profile. And we see here, both as we would expect are smooth, but here in the Social Security at 70 with special withdrawals, not only have we taken Uncle Sam's best offer and got Social Security at 70, but we've also addressed the cash constraint that caused so that we have a smooth living standard from the current year on, and we have $8,908 more a year to live on starting in 2020 to the end of the model. So that's how we think about cash constraint. That's one of the ways we solve it. Sometimes it could involve other things like contributing less to retirement or reducing spending in the near term, special expenses. There's lots of different causes of cash constraint, and depending on what the causes are and what your values are, you can address them in different ways. But using special withdrawals from your qualified retirement accounts is a very common way, especially to address it when it's caused by postponing Social Security to age 70.